Something is happening right now with our relationship to work, to intelligence, and really to our own future. We are at a massive inflection point, and honestly, what happens next is going to redefine, well, everything. So let's get right into it.
For years, we've all talked about the future of AI in these hypothetical terms, this someday thing. But here's the deal. According to the sources for this explainer, someday is over. The future isn't coming anymore. It's already here. And it is moving so much faster than anyone was ready for. The ground is literally shifting under our feet as we speak.
And look, this isn't some fringe idea anymore. When you have figures like Elon Musk making a statement this bold, this definitive, it means we have to take the scale of this change seriously. But what does that even mean, the singularity?
Okay, so let's break this down, because this is the key. The singularity isn't just about an AI that's really good at chess or Go. That's old news. This is about an AI getting so smart it can start improving itself. And that creates this insane feedback loop, right? It gets smarter, which allows it to get even smarter faster. An explosion of intelligence that just leaves human capacity in the dust, in everything.
And just to be clear, this is not science fiction. The sources are pointing to these specific models released very recently as the catalysts. These aren't just minor software updates on your phone. No, these represent a fundamental leap, an entirely new level of capability. They're the engines driving this whole thing.
So the big question is, where does this intelligence explosion hit us first? Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because the immediate impact is turning everything we thought we knew completely on its head. Turns out, we've probably been worrying about the wrong jobs this whole time.
Yeah, for decades, the story was always about robots taking over manual labor, right? Factory workers, drivers. But that's not what's happening. The first wave of this AI revolution is aimed squarely at high-status, well-paid, white-collar jobs, the very professions that depend on thinking for a living.
And the timeline for this is, well, it's terrifyingly short. We are not talking about a decade from now. According to the CEO of Microsoft AI, we're looking at 12 to 18 months. A year, maybe a year and a half, until AI can do most of these jobs as well as a human can. That's basically tomorrow.
If you want proof, just look at software engineering. The job has been totally transformed in the last 6 or 12 months. It's not about painstakingly writing code anymore. Now it's about being a high-level architect, a strategist, telling an AI what to build and then debugging the result. A single person can now do the work of an entire team.
So this whole thing could feel a little abstract, until this one personal story came out. A short essay from a guy on the front lines, and it went so viral because it captured the dizzying, unbelievable speed of this change. His name is Matt Schumer. He's a 26-year-old AI CEO, and he just wrote down what he was experiencing firsthand. It exploded online. Why? Because he finally gave a voice to this weird feeling that people in the industry were having, this sense that the ground was just falling out from under them.
He talked about this feeling of exponential acceleration. See, it wasn't steady progress anymore, something you could track on a chart. It was like a rocket ship suddenly hitting a second stage booster, and then a third. The very pace of change was changing.
And man, this quote he used just perfectly captures the feeling. It's that dawning horror. That slow, creeping change you were vaguely aware of has suddenly become an immediate, overwhelming crisis. The water is at your chest, and you didn't even notice it rising. And look at his workflow now. It's insane. He doesn't code. He doesn't even really manage the AI. He just describes what he wants, in plain English. Then he walks away, for hours. And when he comes back, the work is just done, finished, perfect. And this is where his personal story really proves the big theory. He realized the AIs were helping build the next AIs. They were debugging their own systems, improving themselves. This is that self-improving feedback loop in action. Intelligence is building intelligence now. It's accelerating on its own.
Of course, this is so much bigger than one CEO's workflow. It has these massive, profound consequences for all of us, especially for young people trying to start their careers. I mean, what do you do when the first rung on the ladder just isn't there anymore?
A recent Stanford study found a 13% drop in entry-level early career jobs. And honestly, a lot of people think the real number is much, much higher. That first step, that first job you take to learn the ropes, it's being automated away.
And think about what that means. Why would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a degree to learn how to do things that an AI can now do for pennies? The entire path we've been told to follow, go to college, get the degree, get the stable job, that whole system is starting to look incredibly fragile. The ladder isn't just missing a rung, the whole thing might be evaporating into thin air.
And where could this lead? Well, potentially to a future of economic inequality that makes today look tame. You could have a tiny, tiny group of people who own and create the AIs capturing almost all the economic value. And then there's everyone else.
But okay, just when you think you've got your head around it, there's one final, really unsettling idea from the source material. What if all this chaos, all this disruption, what if this is actually the good outcome?
Philosopher Sam Harris makes this chilling point. He says we're all looking at this potential crisis and thinking, oh no, something has gone wrong with AI. But he argues that we are completely, fundamentally misreading the situation.
Here's the punchline. The economic collapse, the job losses, making human skills obsolete, that isn't the failure of AI. That's the success. That is exactly what happens when you finally succeed at building a machine that can do all the cognitive work that humans do. This is the technology working perfectly.
We spend all this time worrying about AI failure cases, right? Like the Terminator, rogue AIs causing chaos. But what we're actually facing now is the success case. And as you can see, it looks just as disruptive, just in a completely different way. Our society is simply not built to handle this kind of success.
And that leaves us with the final, absolutely critical question. If the complete disruption of our economy and society is what happens when everything goes right, then what on earth are we even trying to achieve? And what in the world should we be preparing for right now?